Hey guys, Tuba Titan 12 here with a video about Bleach. This is episode 12. I'm going to talk about all the things I loved in this episode and a few things that I didn't, but I want to start with one character in particular. Urahara. I told you guys last week that the stuff from the original series, I just knew it just didn't make sense to me. He was hiding so much from Ichigo. He knew about all of the stuff, the holification process, all of that stuff. He knew all about it. In this episode, it confirmed that for over 100 years, he's been researching this because of the people like Shinji and all of those folks that he's already talked about these hollows with Aizen and whatnot. He knew about all this stuff from the get-go, so he already had experience. So pretty much, he went up, he met Ryu and Ishin and told them, hey, in order to save Masaki, she has to get a counterbalance within her blood in order for her to survive and move forward. And she had at the moment she had Quincy and Hollow within her, but she needed to balance that out with human Soul Reaper. And the only person that could do that was not Ryu, and I'll get to him in a second, but Ishin. Ishin would have to give up his Soul Reaper powers, be put into one of those Gigai bodysuits, and he wouldn't be able to see any hollows anymore and nothing. He would be capped off. This kind of helps explain why in the original series nobody noticed him. Not only was it because he wasn't around, but because he was in that suit. His solar powers were blocked off and was connected to her and not really out and about because he lost his form. Whenever they would come over there and see him or be around anywhere near him, they couldn't sense him because he technically wasn't there. He was in that human suit, and that's probably why they couldn't really see that he was there, because if you couldn't see hollows, there's no way the Scorpions can find him because he's not himself anymore. He's in that suit versus just being in his normal Soul Reaper apparel. So that kind of explains that plot hole a lot better. Ishin and Masaki, they truly did care for each other. It went to more and more and more as love as time went on, but originally, again, Ishin was out there just wanting to save her life, but eventually they grew to love each other because in order for her not to turn into a hollow, he has to be by her side like for life. And it goes into her kids. So, and I'll get to that a little bit second because there's another plot hole within that I want to talk about. But I want to keep going with this whole love situation. Ryu, you can tell that he truly loved Masaki and he wanted to get with her. Yes, he told Katagiri and everybody that, oh, it's for the Quincy blood. Nah, he really cared about her. He wanted to be with her, but that was all pretty much forward because she went and helped Ishin. That's why the relationship has always been so rocky and how they weren't super close to each other. Yes, they both loved her and cared about her, but he wanted to be with her. And it kind of leads me to think with him and Uryu, his son, why their relationship may not be the best. His mom, what's her name? Katagiri, she ended up getting with Ryu for at some point, and they had Uryu. But you can tell that she loved him. She really wanted to be with him. She said, "From the moment I met you, I cared about you." But you could tell he didn't feel the same way for based off of what they showed in this episode. And maybe that might have kind of ran into his relationship with Uryu to where, yes, he, I guess, cared about her somewhat, but never really loved her the way that she may have wanted. And that's maybe be why their relationship is so distanced from each other. They don't really talk that much. It's pretty rough, the relationship. So that may have been why that happened. He really wanted to be with Masaki, but because of those events, it just couldn't happen. He was pretty much done. And she never really wanted to be with him like that. She thought of him as a relative and just somebody that was cool to be around, but she never had those type of feelings toward him. So it's very, very convoluted. It feels like a love story, like, one of those soap operas type stuff. That's what this episode felt like a little bit, and I really enjoy that. But let's talk about some of the things I didn't like, because I loved everything about that. But the you all plot, to where apparently he took away the powers of both of those women, Masaki and Katagiri, in order to get his power for himself back up to resurrect from dying all those years ago. They put up this some nice little tale to where, oh, he was dead for 900 years and all kind of. I don't really like that. I don't like that the reason why Masaki apparently died from the Kingfisher, because that's crazy. She's super powerful. How she died is because she happened to, at that very moment, to have lost her powers, and that's how she got killed. I don't like that. I don't like that. I know that's plot. That's plot. You can't. I know some of the stuff that Kubo has done has uh has been really really helpful to the story, and I like. But that's just really that's how she died because she lost her powers at that moment. Yeah, but I know why they had to do it in order to make you all that much worse of a person because he took him, and on top of that, they made it to where Ryu's mom, Katagiri, she died from sickness because he took her powers too. They were apparently not strong Quincy's, or their blood was impure, so he decided he got rid of them, and that's yeah, it is what it is. But there's one other plot hole that I want to talk about, and that's But again, I love this episode, but this stuff just kind of stick with me. If anything I said previously or any of these things I'm bringing up, if you feel like it is not a plot hole or you feel like it's not that big of a deal, definitely let me know in the comment section. But Ichigo and Ishin, Ishin got his powers back after 20 years without them because Ichigo was able to break through. His hollow form was so powerful to where it didn't bounce out anymore. Because the only reason why everything was able to keep in check from Ichigo was because Ishin's Ryetsu was so strong, it overpowered everything. But because his hollow form came out and got so strong, it broke that and it gave Ishin's powers back. That's cool and all if Ichigo was the only child, but what about his sisters? What happens to them now that this is broken to where if Ishin has his powers back, and that did make sense, but because he has sisters, what about them in the story? What powers do they actually possess? Do they have like anything? I know some of them can see like kind of like spirits a little bit, but they don't got no Quincy powers. I haven't seen no hollowifications are happening with them, so I guess they're fine. I'm not really sure how that goes, but if I'm missing something, again, let me know in the comments. But the outside of those two things, the Isha getting his powers back and his Ichigo's sisters not really having any issues, and also the Yua loot taking away Ichigo's mom's powers out the blue and her dying because of that. Outside of those two things, everything else episode I loved. I love getting the backstory of them. It was really beautifully shot, done about seeing how their love grew over time, and I really really appreciated that, and I also appreciated that the Soul Society they had no idea about the Quincy's or about anything about Masaki or anything, so they were completely in the dark. Just Urahara and Ishin knew the real deal. So I thought that was really cool that they cleared that up to where again Ishin's been gone all that time, and they thought he must have died or something because again he literally disappeared completely by being in that Gigai form. There was no way they could have figured out who he was, and I'm sure Urahara made sure of that because he's been hiding all this time too. So for them to not have noticed him all this time around Ichigo makes perfect sense now because of this explanation. So I really enjoyed this episode. I can't wait for 13. Please, in the comment section, don't put anything about episode 13 in there. I'm going to watch it when I wake up. If you can't tell by my voice, I'm not feeling 100%, but I truck through. But guys, take care. Follow me. Deuces.